well, if I do the music, then we'll really be late. So, we didn't do the music. So, hi. When you take things for granted, the things you are granted get taken. I don't know. Ask Rev Run. He's the one that said it. All right, things going on this week. This calendar is just so cool. Let's see, what's today? Today, February 2nd. Qigong, of course, at 9:15. Today's healing service. Mind Shifters on Wednesday night. And Dream Quest Mediumship on Thursday with Janice. Anything else going on this week that's not on the calendar? Jan, do you know anything else that's going on this week that's not on here? Oh, okay. You know, along that same line, we had another group. In fact, I don't even know what happened, but we had another group that wanted to share the building for their church. And you know, when we first got in this building, we did that with a church, helped them get started and everything, worked out great. Now, we couldn't really find a good time to make that work because there's stuff going on all week long, during the night, during the day, and that's exactly what we wanted, and guess what? That's what's happening. Isn't that cool? So, fun stuff. We do have a couple patron saints, John Lennon and George Carlin. And like I said, if anybody wants to get me more quotes, that would be great, because I've heard these ones a couple of times. John, I am starting to remember. The basic thing nobody asks is, why do people take drugs of any sort? Why do we have these accessories to normal living to live? I mean, there is something wrong with society that makes us so pressurized that we cannot live without guarding ourselves against it. And George, I'm always relieved when someone is delivering a eulogy and I realize I'm listening to it. I understand that. Oh, anyway, in Parade magazine this morning was kind of fun. Bob Costas, who has been a sportscaster on TV for like many years, he's going to be doing the 18 nights in Sochi, Russia, for the Winter Olympics. And this quote here says, if you could compete in a winter event yourself, what would that be? Curling. Because I think you should be able to drink a beer whenever you're competing for a gold medal. He has just endeared himself to half of the male population in this country. And Puxatawny Phil, I haven't heard if we're going to have winter. Did he? He saw his shadow? Okay. Well, he's only been right 39% of the time. So, hi. And, Puppy and Kitten Bowl today. Puppy Bowl, 10th anniversary. And the Kitten Bowl is new on Hallmark. So now you got to switch back and forth. And by the way, I think there's a game going on today too, isn't there? So, something about the Seahawks. Jan at least could have found green and blue wardrobe for herself. I wasn't so lucky. So, oh well. And Jay Leno, 21 years late night host, signing off the air. Isn't that something? For the second time. Yeah, it kind of is the second time, isn't it? So. The cruise liner QE2 moves only 6 inches for each gallon of diesel it burns. 6 inches. The microwave was invented after a researcher walked by a radar tube and a chocolate bar melted in his pocket. Good thing he did that. The winter of 1932 was so cold Niagara Falls froze completely solid. That's cold. 1932. It wasn't solid earlier in this year, but it was pretty doggone frozen. There are 293 ways to make change for $1. Wow. Must be true. It's on the internet. So, there are more chickens than people in the world. I think I believe that one actually. Yep. Okay. All right. Let's see. Okay. The phrase, "It ain't over till the fat lady sings," is derived from an earlier version such as "The opera isn't over until the fat lady sings," and "Church ain't over until the fat lady sings." Dan Cook, a sportscaster in San Antonio, Texas, is credited with popularizing the current version in 1978 when he said on a national television during the NBA playoffs after the San Antonio Spurs went down 3-1 against the Washington Bullets. Now you know. I hear mice. Do you hear mice? Little squeak, squeak, squeak. It's one of Toby's toys. Things that make you go, It is easier to cope with a bad conscience than with a bad reputation. Okay. Could be. There is in a man an upwelling spring of life, energy, love, whatever you want to call it. If a course is not cut for it, it turns the ground round into a swamp. Yeah, I know. It's makes you thought and think. The mill cannot grind with water that's past. A fool always finds a greater fool to admire him.
Somebody for everyone.
European households of the early Middle Ages had a problem with pests. Rats infested every nook and corner. Squirrels even nested in the thatch roofs or upper rafters. Between the rats and the squirrels, the noise of gnawing was very disturbing, especially in the middle of the night. The Germans developed a word, nagen, an old Scandinavian term meaning to gnaw, and applied it to any disturbance as nerve-wracking as the gnawing of household pets. Eventually, a person who gnawed at another by constant fault-finding was said to nag. And the word soon lost its earlier meaning. Now you know. Ever stop to think and forget to start again? It's scary when you start making the same noises as your coffee maker.
Yeah, they used to torture it, didn't they?
Being over the hill is much better than being under it. And wrinkled was not one of the things I wanted to be when I grew up. It's true. It's true. Anybody having a Super Bowl party? Can I come?
Yes. What was that?
And I've done this one before, but I'm going to do it again. Ever walk into a room with some purpose in mind, only to completely forget what the purpose was? Yeah, it never happens to me. Turns out doors themselves are to blame for these strange memory lapses. Psychologists at the University of Notre Dame have discovered that passing through a doorway triggers what's known as an event boundary in the mind, separating one set of thoughts and memories for the next. Your brain files away the thoughts you had in the previous room and prepares a blank slate for the new locale. Thank goodness for studies like this. It's not our age, it's that damn door. So what excuse do I have when I'm just standing there and it happens? Oh well. Yeah. Wife texts husband on a cold winter's morning. Windows frozen, won't open. Husband texts back, gently pour some lukewarm water over it. Wife texts back 5 minutes later, computer really screwed up now. It could happen. Let's sing Josh Groban. You raise me up. Sure. Where'd that go?
Okay, if you would like to have one of your very own lovely drum like this, I am having a drum making class on February the 16th, and I will pass around couple sign-offs. So the next 2 weeks, I'll probably be passing the sign-up sheets around, and then I'll have it on the 16th. So they run right at $70. That's what it cost me for material. I just charge for the material. And how many people here has made their own drum? Quite a few of you, yeah. And do you like your drum? All right. So if you've ever wanted to make your own drum, please put your name on the list and come out on the 16th, and we'll make you'll make your own drum right here, right now. right here in River City on 1 o'clock on the 16th. So anyway, put your name on the list. It's a Sunday. It's right after church. I find it's about the only time I can get people together for a long enough period to do it. It takes about 3 hours. So, questions, comments? All right, see you there.
That song makes me cry. Because sometimes we can't get here on our own. We can't get to where we're going on our own. Sorry, give me a second here. Am I the only one that had a really challenging week? So here's the deal. Just because you're spiritual doesn't mean life is easy. But being spiritual makes it worth it. So it's hard. Sometimes life is just hard. And not in a bad way. You know, sometimes the choices that we make are hard choices, but they're the right ones to make. Sometimes it's important to stand our ground and say, you know, this is my truth. This is where I'm at. And as a result of me, sorry about that, tissues going around. I saw miracles happen this week. And even though it was hard, and where I stood was hard, because I stood in a sacred place, someone else found their sacredness. And they could speak their truth. And I'd seen the same person use emotional blackmail. I'd seen them use violence to try to get people to listen to them and change their mind. And I saw this person step into their truth and with calmness and self-authority speak their truth. And the world changed for them. The very thing that they had been hoping for shifted. It's not the end of the story. The battle still has challenges to be faced. The miracles happen. I gave you each a sacred token. Some of them Peggy brought in. She tumbled stones. So thank you for that. And some Sandy Fleischbein donated or gave to the church. That sacred stone is here to represent for you your sacredness. And when we're in our sacredness, we don't have to be in a place where we have to be right. We can get incensed because that other person said this or said that or did this or did that. Nor do we have to be a victim. Nor do we have to fall into that place where we're just roll over and play dead. We can stand in our strength and stand in the power of walking in that sacred truth. And you know, it's hard. I see you struggle. I see me struggle. Sometimes we struggle about finances. Sometimes we struggle in relationships. Sometimes we struggle in work situations. And, I was praying about it, and I asked God, I said, God, I wish I had a story to tell. Because, facts tell, stories sell. And I wanted this to touch your heart. Because your heart is just, that's the powerful tool. The heart is where it's all about. Physically, it's just an expression of your heart. And if your heart is in a sacred place, you're undefeatable. And 2 Bible passages came up for me, and I want to share them with you. The first one I read last week. I'm going to read it again. For the word of God is living and active and sharper than any two-edged sword, piercing as far as the division of soul and spirit, of both joints and marrow, and able to judge the thoughts and intentions of the heart. Hold that thought. Hebrews 4:12. Proverbs 23:7. For as a man thinks in his heart, so is he. And I've been led to share with you today about the little engine that could. I think I can. Remember that story? Well, I'm going to come back to that story. But before I do, I want to share with us that we can think ourselves stupid. I could think, I'm going to step across the backs of each of these pews. And, if you think you can do it, you can do it. That's modern, new agey philosophy kind of stuff. Why would I do that? This is one of those where I think I can do that. Hold my beer. Just because you think you can, that's not the think you can, I think I can that I'm talking about today. This is that intention of the heart. That's the heart's thinking. That's the intent. That's that connected, powerful source that we're talking about here, where change happens, where miracles happen. So I want us to realize as I'm talking about stuff today, and I want to share this process with you in just a bit, that the sacred space that I'm hoping that you'll hold, that this sacred token I'm hoping will remind you about, is being in a place where you don't have to go into those emotional pits. That even though stuff is hard, it's tough stuff, you can stay in that space, be clear, and be empowered. So a story came to me as I was asking God, I need a story. Bring me a story. So there's this lady. She was mid-30s, single mom, taking care of her kid, and went to work in an office situation. She needed that job. The alternative of not making that job work was going home and living with her mom and dad. And she knew that if she went home and lived with mom and dad, it would be the death of her soul. Because as kind and loving and caring as her mom and dad were, it was their way or no way. And it was also very loving and supportive if you do it our way. So it was almost stifling. And she knew that if she was not strong enough emotionally to go back and stand her ground yet. So she had to stay in another city to make it work. So first couple of weeks of her job were tough. new job, new skills, didn't know what the heck she was doing. And the boss called her into the conference room. Now the boss, office manager, was the managing partner's wife. No good will come of this. Took her in the conference room, left the door wide open, and screamed at her about her performance. And that she'd better get it together or she would be out of a job. There was no place in this person's life to get upset. Certainly she cried. She cried. But there was no place for her to go, well, how dare she speak to me like that? No, I just won't put up with that. And there was no place to go, oh, poor me, I just, oh, come on. It's like, okay, suck it up. Get better. Get better. And periodically, boss would drag her into the conference room, door wide open, and scream at her about something. One of the screaming sessions was about, don't you know how to proofread? What is wrong with you? How do you expect to survive your job? I can't keep you if you can't learn to proofread. Do you have any suggestions for me to proofread? Maybe I'm doing it wrong. How many ways can there be to proofread? But she sucked it up. And the boss said, don't you read it from the back forward? Did you know that if you read it forward to the back, your brain fills in the blanks and manufactures complete words that aren't really there? Did you not know that? No, I didn't know that. Did you know that? It's true. It's true. So if you read from the back of a document, your brain will see each word individually. And you'll be able to pick up misspellings and typos instantly. Good to know. So she was grateful for that information. She thanked this woman for that information. And from that moment on, she had almost no errors in her work. Now, one of the people that she worked for, she had two people that she reported directly to that she did work production for. One of them was a really nice guy. The other woman was a functioning alcoholic. She'd have to have a drink before she started her work so she wouldn't shake. And she discovered that if she would leave a typo, not so that the other lady would see it, because she only saw the final product. She would leave a typo or a misspelled word or a word out of place in either the first or second page, the woman wouldn't do a rewrite. So she did that. If she didn't do that, other people in the office would produce the same kinds of documents, heavy document production. And everybody else would have 2 or 3 page documents, hers would be 12. And if she did a major rewrite, it was take this paragraph and move it there and put that paragraph over there. So having a 12-page document rehashed with somebody red blood all over the pages was not a good thing. So she learned. And when she first came to that place, she could hear other people typing, and they were like really, really fast. And you know what? She got better. And pretty soon she was typing faster than they were. So months went by, and the woman called her into the conference room again. What now? Okay. So she went in the conference room, and the lady closed the door. Oh no. Oh no. This is not good. And the lady sat down. She'd never sat down before. Up until then, it was standing, looming over her as she sat down. So she sat down across the conference table from her. She said, do you like working here? And she answered, yes, I do. I do like working here. I like the people. I feel like I'm doing a really good job. Then the lady says, well, my husband and I have been considering me retiring for several years now and haven't had an opportunity to do so. So I'm going to give my office management position to someone else, and I'm offering you my position as his secretary, partner secretary. So the woman thought, oh, I couldn't do that. There's other people in here with tenure. The office manager says, boss doesn't want them. He wants you. Okay. She took the position, thinking, there's going to be so much resentment. So she didn't even get a chance to go back to her old desk. She was taken directly to her new desk. Even the chair was comfortable. And the work was like a quarter of the work because the managing boss, or this partner, didn't have as much document production. And she wondered about the backlash from the other secretaries. And one by one they came to her and said, "We are so grateful she's gone. If there's anything you need, you let us know. Happy to help." And I would still be there to this day if Phil hadn't asked me to marry him. And I moved to another city. That was hard. That was hard. One person doing the right thing can make a difference. One person doing the right thing, holding sacred ground, can change their world. You can change things by holding sacred ground. And sacred ground is that place where you're not indignant or hostile or pissed off. And when you're not victim and sorrow and weak, but where you walk sacred ground. And it's hard. It's hard. If you're here today, your soul is telling you that playing those emotional games with yourself is no longer an option. You're ready to do it differently. You may not know how completely, but you're ready. Because there's people who are here that aren't normally here, or that come sporadically. You're here because you are ready to do it differently. You're ready to walk sacred ground for yourself. Yes, it's so much easier to just get upset, throw a fit. Your soul is saying, I'm ready to do it differently. I'm ready to walk a different path. So I'm going to walk you through a guided meditation here, but it's one I want you to pay attention. I want you to be half here and half there. And I'm going to give you options for making choices here. So I'm going to give you suggestions, and there'll be 3. And of those 3, pick one. And here's how this works. Spirit and I have created an energetic structure. And when you create this, we've created this energetic structure that Spirit has said, okay, show them this, and here are their choices. And each of those choices has a significance and has a meaning in the construct of what we're doing. It may not be something you would choose for yourself normally. It may not be something that, well, that doesn't feel right, well, that feels kind of goofy, but that's what I'm drawn to. Just trust the process, and you'll see how it works. Okay? Does that make sense? So we're going to do the little engine that could. Now remember that story of the little engine that could? He was going to take Christmas toys. You know why he was chosen to take Christmas toys? Because the big steam engines wouldn't do it. It was beneath them. But he had purpose in his heart. He wanted those toys to get to the children on the other side of the mountain by Christmas. Somebody needed to do it. And a purpose greater than himself propelled him up that mountain. You're here because your purpose is greater than yourself. And you have a sense of that. It might be a little scary and you might go, I don't know what that purpose is. You don't have to. You don't have to know. One foot in front of the other. Be in that sacred space and it will be revealed to you. It will unfold for you. So now, I don't want you to make the choice in your head. I want you to make the choice from your heart. This is all about your heart space. That's where the power is. That's where the power is. So bring your energy into your heart space. take a deep breath in and exhale.